Introduction. www.zhaozuiyuan.com Quantum Parallel Spacetime. In the late Eastern Han Dynasty, a strange person emerged from Wuxiang County. He is proficient in various dialects. Not only can it communicate and exchange with the barbarians of Shanyue without barriers, but it is also proficient in languages such as Chang, Tibetan, Hu, and Xiongnu. He is proficient in agriculture, improves seeds, and contributes to social development. Before crossing over, Jin Mao was just a social animal with little ambition. After crossing over https://www.zayashuan.com. Chapter 1. Don't joke about my life. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. In the 7th year of Guanghe, the Yellow Turban Uprising led to turmoil in the 13 states and 20.8 counties of the Eastern Han Dynasty. Wuxiang County, Kuaiji County, Yangzhou. Jin Mao, an outstanding graduate from a top agricultural university, has been traveling here for a month and gradually adapted to the harsh environment. Even though he is a descendant of Lu Hui, the prince of Wuxiang County, similar to Chao and Xiahou. Even if residing in Tangxi Township, the county seat. Even though he is still the county magistrate of Wuxiang County. It didn't bring him even the slightest sense of security. Because this is the granary of Baiyue, a forgotten and remote village. Even the starving ghosts of the Yellow Turban Uprising are unwilling to come to places. Alas, the county lord called me to wait today. I'm afraid it's not a good thing. Who said it's not right? I've heard that the miserly man from Jinyun Mountain, Zhang Shan. Shu. Be cautious. The two speakers saw Jin Mao approaching and exchanged glances, quickly switching topics. Good morning, everyone. Jin Mao's bowing is not very standard, more like an arched hand from a past life. The two of them looked unhappy and bowed perfunctorily. You two know, what's the reason why the county magistrate asked me to wait today? What can I do for you? The skinny person between the two is named Huang Li, a county magistrate. Isn't that moth thief coming over soon? The thin and black man's name is He Wei, and he is also a county magistrate. The two of them sang together and cooperated harmoniously. Although Jin Mao is not a history major, he enjoys reading history and knows that the Yellow Turban River is not a major, and there are also a few who cross the river, which cannot become a climate. Moreover, it is already September and the first Huangjin uprising is about to end. How could it possibly reach Wuxiang County? Besides, this month, he was almost hearing a cocoon about the news about Baiyue. Can the group of farmers from the Yellow Turban Uprising really beat Baiyue? The moth thief is detestable. But Jin Mao's years of social experience in his past life were not in vain, and he took the opportunity to say, I don't know which one is stronger or weaker compared to Baiyue. There's no more terrifying than 100. When it comes to Baiyue, He Wei seems to have endless words to say. You, an old man who lives in the county seat, must have only heard of it before. He Wei poured out bitter water and didn't even see the look of Huang Li giving him. He Wei's hometown of Lizhou is located south of Wuxiang County, and there is always a small group of Baiyue invaders. The villagers can be said to have suffered a lot. In fact, the two of them don't need to cover up at all. Jin Mao already knew what was going on, and now he just wants to accumulate more information. Yesterday, the clan chief said it. The miserly husband of Jinyun Mountain died on duty, and the clan hopes that Jin Mao can also serve as a second position, laying a foundation for future promotion to county officials. Although they are all petty officials, county officials can live in Shanin County, the capital of Kuaiji County. There is a city wall there, so there is no need to worry about Baiyue attacking the city. This is the most important reason why Jin Mao agreed to take over. He is constantly worried and has to live 20 years less. And the clan leader guarantees that they have already taken care of everything, so there is no need to go to the post. As a traveler, I casually seek refuge with any family of Chao Lu Sun, enjoying endless wealth and honor. About an hour later. Wushang County Yamen, in addition to Jin Mao's 3 people, there are 8 people kneeling in the hall, and the entire county management is here. Jinyan Mountain Miser, who can serve? At the beginning of the meeting, the county magistrate came straight to the point. The county magistrate sitting above and the 2 county captains looked down together. In Tangxi Township, Youji, Wuguan Langzhong, and Yujian met the superior's eyes and turned their heads to continue downward. The 3 elders of the Lu and Jin families, both of them are grandparents of Jin Mao in terms of civil justice, but the Jin clan leader is close. At this moment, Lu clan chief didn't look at anyone, closed his eyes and regained his composure. Grandpa Jin was frantically winking at Jin Mao. So, the remaining 3 county magistrates. Huang He and his companions lowered their heads and remained silent. Humph. The county magistrate angrily patted the low table and said, "When things come to an end, you shrink back. What's the use of the court raising you?" The new county magistrate of Wushang is eager to make achievements and doesn't know what he said wrong. At this moment, even the county magistrate and county lieutenant remained silent, and each matter was of no concern to themselves. On the other hand, Jin Mao thought that Grandpa's intention was to speak slowly. Seeing that the heat was approaching, he suddenly stood up. "County Lord, I am willing to go." Suddenly, the whole room was shocked. Grandpa Jin has a strong desire to die. It's all clear, the silly guy is still charging forward. The family finally produced a talent, but now it's good, it's gone again. All right. All right. All right. The young county magistrate was extremely happy. It's not bad that he is the descendant of the Wushang County prince. He has courage. He has great courage. The county magistrate promised, "When you finish handling the matter of Jinyan Mountain in return, I will ask the prefect for your help." Going on a business trip. Jin Mao realized something was wrong and quickly looked at his grandfather. Grandpa Jin sighed and said, "If it weren't for being in the court, would he have killed this insightless grandson on the spot? If you go here, just do 2 things well." The county magistrate did not give Jin Mao a chance to repent, first appeasing the people of Jinyan Mountain, and second expelling the barbarians who came to invade Wui. Good guy, Jin Mao looked at Grandpa Jin incredulously. That's not what he said last night. The county magistrate didn't care about so much, and after speaking, he ran away. The others saw this and ran for 5 more. "Grandfather, you've ruined your grandson." Jin Mao thought a lot. In this lifetime, he was an orphan living among his tribe. His predecessor was also considered a young genius. At the age of 15, he had just reached adulthood and became a disciple of the Kong family in this county. Although the Kong family in Wushang County was a branch of the branch, it still helped them become the county magistrate. These things happened this year, but Jin Mao couldn't believe that he was still treated as an abandoned child by his family. "Let's talk about it, everyone." Grandpa Jin's beard and hair were all open. "I, Jin Gao, am the most outstanding grandson. I want him to die, humph." Jin Mao was afraid that Grandpa's next sentence would be, "You have to pay more." Fortunately, Jin Gao valued him and roared angrily, "Don't blame me for tearing open this old face. Let's fight to the death with you. Jin Lao, please be calm and not impatient." The speaker was Luan, the county magistrate of Wushang and the eldest son of the Lu family. "This is the end of the matter. Let's work together to find a solution." "Right, right. One of the county captains is also from the Lu family, named Lu Hua." "That's right. The other county lieutenant was Uncle Jin Shan from Jin Mao, the person who died was my eldest nephew." "It's not your Lu family." "Shut up." The 2 tribal chiefs shouted in unison. The Lu clan chief's name is Lu Yi. Zhaoshuyuan.com. The 2 elderly people exchanged a glance, and Lu Yi nodded to Jin Gao in greeting. He was not so polite to the younger generation and said, sit down for me. In the future, don't say anything that harms harmony. Lu Yi didn't stand up from beginning to end. Lu Jin already has a family, and if anything happens, the two families will share the responsibility. It seems that Lu Yi has high prestige in both families, even Jin Gao has to give way by 3 points, let alone other younger generations. This matter was arranged by the newly appointed county magistrate from beginning to end, and the miser of Jinyan Mountain was already a trusted follower of the county magistrate. In one sentence, Lu Yi determined the situation and said, "I didn't provide any details, which is reasonable and unexpected. Next, either resist or refuse to accept orders." Immediately, Lu Yi shook his head and denied, "But Jin Mao has already been ordered. Doing so will only damage the reputation of our tribe. Then there's only one way left, try to do things as beautifully as possible. Lu Hua and Jin Shan, you two choose the elite contestants and escort Mauer to Jinyan Mountain. Lu Yi began to arrange, Luan, go and collect the token from your clan. There is a branch of the Lu family from Wushang in Jinyan Mountain. In consideration of your fellow tribe, you will make some efforts. Only. The three of them went down to arrange. Mauer. Lu Yi called Jin Mao closer, remember, the Baiyue barbarians can only listen to others well when they hurt them. Still going to war. Jin Mao Hen couldn't slap himself twice, the benefits were declining, and it turned out to be some trouble. Seeing the two elderly people with bright eyes, Jin Mao reluctantly responded, only. In the backyard of the county government, the county magistrate listened to his subordinate's report with great pride and said, "It is indeed an uneducated place. They don't even know the principle of leaking information without confidentiality. What local tycoons! With just a few tricks, I can drive them to work for me." Chapter 2. Language Talent. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Wushang County has a population of over 10,000 households and is a large county with jurisdiction over more than one prefecture-level city. But surrounded by mountains, especially in the south, Mount Wui often intrudes. Correspondingly, the further south, the more rugged the folk customs become. Poor mountains and rivers lead to unruly people. It's not that it's natural, but rather that the living environment is harsh, and we have to compete and grab everything. It's nearly 200 miles from Tangxi Township to Jinyan Mountain, half of which is still a mountain road. After 5 days of camping, Jin Mao and his team arrived in Lizhou. Lizhou is not as bustling as Tangxi, invited He Wei, who returned with the team. Why not go to my house for a while? It's better than camping in the wilderness. Jin Mao bowed and thanked, then I'll bother you. Jin Mao is afraid of death. If it weren't for the two tribes choosing 109 people to accompany him, he would definitely have changed his name and surname, and ran away halfway. And these 109 people are all elite, each strong and sturdy, all dressed in thick clothes, holding metal weapons, and having 10 archers. The most outrageous thing is that it is said that everyone has seen blood kill people. With such military protection, Jin Mao finally dispelled the idea of abandoning his son and had a little confidence in this trip. In the evening, He Wei took out his long-cherished wine to entertain Jin Mao. "My dear brother, you have developed in the future, don't forget fool brother." He Wei poured the last bit of wine into the Jin Mao bowl with a heart-wrenching expression on his face. Little did they know that Jin Mao was not interested in so-called fine wine, as the taste was rough and there was not much alcohol flavor. However, there must be a pleading appearance when seeking someone. In the painful eyes of He Wei, Jin Mao reluctantly drank the wine in one gulp. "Brother He, can you tell me some information about Mount Wuyu? I'm very grateful. Good drinking capacity." He Wei said insincerely, but he did not hide. "We usually deal with the Yao people most in Shanyue. The Mount Wui is more, and I don't know much about it." "Brother, don't be humble," Jin Mao said sincerely. "It's better than having a black eye in my eyes. Then let me talk about the Yao ethnic group's Mountain You. He Wei touched his chin. I think the difference between the two is not too much. Early the next morning, Jin Mao set off with a panda's eye, and the news he received last night was too explosive. Not to mention anything else, during the Eastern Han Dynasty, Shangyue attacked the city several times. Although the scale is not large, at most only 1,000 people, Jin Mao is still afraid. Now we have to face the more ferocious Mount Wui, and there is only one life. The elite of 100 people behind him can no longer bring him a sense of security. How about running away? Without the help of his clan, he probably wouldn't even be able to leave Wushan County. This place is surrounded by mountains on all sides, and on the way over, he often encounters wild beasts. If it weren't for the protection of over 100 people, he would have fed the wolves long ago, as he is not skilled in martial arts. Sigh, we can only take one step and see one step. Jinyan Mountain is not far from Lizhou, with a straight line distance of only 50 miles, but it is all mountain roads, which resulted in Jin Mao and his team taking 5 days to reach their destination. Jinyan Mountain is shaped like a place name, with the village located halfway up the mountain and the fields at the foot of the mountain. A small stream runs through it, with uneven terrain everywhere. This agriculture is really primitive. Such good resources don't even create some terraced fields. Jin Mao, an outstanding graduate of Agricultural University, has committed an occupational disease. Corn, soybeans, and wheat, where is rice delicious? These days, while eating the toothy hu bing, Jin Mao misses the sweetness of rice very much. At this moment, roar! Halfway up the mountain, a group of ragged men diving down with various farming tools, shouting in dialect, barbarians looking for death. More than 100 elite soldiers were startled and in a hurry, they couldn't form a decent formation. At the moment of life and death, Jin Mao held up the token given by his clan and shouted in dialect, "Stop. I am the magistrate of Wushan County." Now it's the other side's turn to be in a hurry. Fortunately they stopped before 2 waves of people collided. Who? 200 people present breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Step back. Jin Mao still shouted in dialect, everyone step back. The village leader is a tough little old man, and under his leadership, the villagers slowly retreat. The people brought by Jin Mao finally formed their formation and began to bow and shoot arrows, causing the atmosphere to become tense again. At this moment, Jin Mao's reaction speed exploded, and he immediately knew the reason. Without hesitation, he flew and kicked down 3 or 4 archers. Both sides were dumbfounded, and the atmosphere was also eased. In 15 minutes, Jin Mao finally knows what's going on. Originally, all 100 elite people were from the city and could not speak rural dialects. I've been together for 2 lifetimes, and it seems like I can't speak the dialect here. Jin Mao thought of a possibility. Is this my cheat? Yes, it has been calling for over a month and there has been no appearance of the system. It is not surprising that there are cheats. It's just that this is too weak and doesn't seem to be of much use. Mr. Jin, why didn't you say a word when you entered the village? The little old man's surname is Wu and his name is Wu Tian. In fact, all the men in this village are surnamed Wu. Wu Lao redeems himself. Jin Mao quickly arched his hand to apologize, but he couldn't be honest. He might have gotten lost. Wu Tian sat cross-legged on the ground, nodding his head with a big prick and receiving the salute. Then, there was a silence. Jin Mao scratched his head and said, "Mr. Wu, do you know how the last miser died?" "Oh, that fool," Wu Tian described with dancing hands and feet. "That day he came to me to form an alliance with Pan Lin. How could Pan Lin be so easy to handle?" Wu Tian sneered, "It won't be us who will be unlucky then. I pointed him away to Fujian and Vietnam." "Hey!" Wu Tian became resentful and said, "If this fool dies, he will die and even bring Min Yu over. Good guy, he's really a troublemaker." Han Lin is the leader of the Yao ethnic group. He Wei once said that he is cunning and cruel by nature, and it is not easy to get along with him. Wuxiang and Taimao counties are deeply poisoned. That's not right. Jin Mao glanced at the villagers and saw several injured soldiers. After a fierce exercise just now, their wounds broke apart again. Judging from the situation, this village has already had a fight with Mingyue. Regardless of the outcome, at least it proves that this Mingyue stock is not as terrifying as imagined. Jin Mao's thoughts suddenly became vivid. Don't worry, let's confirm first. Wu Lao, what is the combat effectiveness of Fujian and Vietnam? How many young men are there? I don't know, Wu Tian recalled. I just remember that Wu Yang was everywhere, trampling on a lot of corn. The villagers were shouting and pointing out the damaged farmland, looking for the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, which looked very heartbroken. Isn't that right? Seeing the harvest season, I feel like half of it has been destroyed. Some even cried, they're still rushing to harvest, how can we spend the winter this year? Looking at the yellow-skinned villagers, Jin Mao felt very uncomfortable. There hasn't been any war here yet. If we were in a riot area, not to mention the food issue, we wouldn't know when we would die. You still need to submit a petition to join. Jin Mao thought about himself, without a good background, joining the past was just a cannon fodder's fate. To forge iron, you still need to be hard on your own. He had some thoughts in his mind, mainly to verify whether the built-in cheat could understand Mingyue language. Dear fellow villagers, Jin Mao decided to take a risk. Mingyue has taken your food, so let's go and grab it back. Do you see these elites behind me? Without giving anyone room to think, Jin Mao spoke loudly, the county lord appointed me as the miser of Jinyan Mountain to eliminate Fujian and Vietnam. I hope everyone can join me in finding Mingyue and killing them. Okay. The villagers were very simple and immediately believed it, even if Li Zheng and Wu Tian had doubts, they couldn't stop it. It's getting late. We'll have enough to eat and drink tonight, and we'll set off tomorrow morning. The villagers did not doubt his presence and responded one after another. As the villagers gradually dispersed, Jin Mao turned around and said in elegant language with a tone of Wuxiang dialect, brothers, I have received news that this group of Mingyue is vulnerable to a single blow. Take a good rest tonight, we'll go and eliminate them tomorrow morning. Thinking of the ugly combat power of the elite, Jin Mao decided to cram for it temporarily. Now, let's practice the cue. Chapter 3. This is too childish, isn't it? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push. The next morning, Wu Tian led more than 70 people down the mountain and saw a strange scene. I saw over 100 people divided into 3 parts. The part that carries short weapons is the most, with around 60 people. Next is the long soldier group, which consists of over 30 people. The final longbow group consists of 10 people. Time is too short, Jin Mao can only roughly divide the work. The front row of the long soldier group is composed of archers in the back row, and the short soldier group is composed of 2 wings. No matter how well we cooperate, it's at least better than squeezing together in the face of danger before. Young master, do you still understand soldiers? Wu Tian was extremely surprised and couldn't help but request, let's also form a team. It's okay if there's a misunderstanding. Without explanation, Jin Mao decided to organize the villagers into a right-wing short soldier group and a left-wing group. The entire team lineup is very deformed, but the big guy is overjoyed. County soldiers, you say it word by word. Originally, the 2 county lieutenants in the county had never read military books, and their regular training relied solely on self-awareness. Jin Mao became more and more frightened as he listened, and began to doubt himself again. Entering the mountain. The formation is too open, and there are always people who fall behind. Just looking for people wastes a lot of time. Helplessly, at noon, in an unnamed valley, Jin Mao summoned everyone. This way of walking is too slow, and the following section begins to follow a zigzag snake formation. After explaining what a one-character long snake formation was, everyone's eyes at Jin Mao became more awe-inspiring. Whether you can find Fujian in Vietnam today or not, it's all a military exercise. Jin Mao fabricated, the most powerful army must be ordered and prohibited, so we never start whispering. The number 200 person said they didn't understand, but they felt really impressive. An interesting scene happened. The two sides, who were originally incompatible, became more harmonious after closing their mouths and making eye contact. For example, someone wants to say, "There's a bird flying over there." But another person understands it as, "He wants to run away." Jin Mao didn't even know about all of this, thinking he was a talented individual and a minor matter in military training. As evening approached, the sunlight was blocked by the mountains and forests, and the group was planning to return. Suddenly, there was a commotion among the vanguard troops, and the first few people approached Jin Mao with a panicked expression. "What's going on? What happened?" But seeing a few people dancing and their eyes almost popping out, Jin Mao didn't understand much. "Speak up." Four people chattered in two dialects for a while before Jin Mao could understand. "Let's go. Take me to take a look." This is an unknown pool surrounded by mountains, and on a small open space by the pool, people from Fujian and Vietnam are threshing the millet and wheat they have seized. Qingzhuang is on the other side, with a dozen or so people sitting around the fire. If the Wu family is portrayed as refugees, then Fujian and Vietnam are primitive people, with a few covered in rags and most only leaves and bark. In a sparsely populated area, the vegetation is particularly abundant, providing cover for Jin Mao and others on the mountain north of the pool. After arriving in this world, Jin Mao had excellent eyesight and could easily distinguish the leaders of this group of Baiyue people at a glance. It must be the one wearing the most clothes. The subordinates are already impatient. If it weren't for Jin Mao showing many extraordinary qualities in the past few days, they might have rushed down the mountain without waiting for orders. Jin Mao also knew he couldn't stop him and called for Wu Tian and the temporary leader of the Long and Short Corps. Lu Mu, lead the Chongbing team to wait there first. Jin Mao pointed to the mountainside directly below. Jin Yang, lead the short army group there and wait. Pointed towards the northeast halfway up the mountain. Mr. Wu, take someone there. This time it's from the southeast. It happens to form a semi-encirclement of the young and robust Fujian and Vietnam. When I hear the sound of dysprosium, everyone rushes together. Remember, the leader wears the most clothes. At first, the three of them were unknowingly sharp, but in the end, their eyes lit up. Okay, take action. In Jin Mao's eyes, these 200 people are a ragtag group, afraid that they may not meet the minimum standards he expected. The fact is the same. The Chongbing group led by Lu Mu had the least number of personnel, but had the most problems, causing countless birds to be disturbed. But the people of Baiyue only held torches and roared into the bushes twice, which seemed to mistake them for beasts. The other two groups are not much different either. Jin Mao only heard two foolish words from the people of Fujian and Vietnam, such as, "There are so many wild beasts today. It's so dangerous here." That's right, Jin Mao can understand Baiyue language, and he still has some strengths as a traveler. Get back to the main topic. Relying on the startled birds, Jin Mao determined the positions of each group and finally emitted a chirping sound before dark. This battle was a child's play from beginning to end, and it ended very quickly. By the time Jin Mao descended the mountain, hundreds of Baiyue people had already become prisoners. "Wu Lao, what are you doing?" Under the shining fire, Jin Mao saw several villagers and county soldiers trapped in their hands and feet. "The surrender is unknown," Wu Tian explained. "I can't tell, Mr. Wu, have you ever served in the army?" Wu Tian awkwardly said, "The miser told me." Feeling that this sentence was ambiguous again, Wu Tian quickly explained, "I didn't say you, I said the miser from last time." Jin Mao waved his hand and was shocked for the first time by the level of ancient superstition, believing what others casually said. Jin Mao cleared his throat and immediately shocked all the prisoners present. It was in Baiyue dialect. "Who is the leader?" Hundreds of people looked behind Jin Mao. "Sleeping slot." Jin Mao's cold hair stood on end, thinking he had seen a ghost. He turned his head and discovered a pile of corpses. Nausea. From a distance, it's not much, but up close, there's a wave of nausea. "Don't look at me like that," Jin Mao retorted, feeling the strange gaze from his subordinates. "I'm running too fast and getting nauseous." The soldiers and villagers from various counties suddenly felt an increase in reverence for Jin Mao, with a feeling of, "I don't understand, but I'm so powerful." So, the leader died. Now, who has the highest status among you? A few hundred Baiyue looked at the only woman bound. "Uncle, this must be a barbarian queen." Jin Yang, a collateral branch of the Jin family with a younger generation than Jin Mao, boasted with an invitation to credit, "I caught it." In the military, one should call oneself a position. Yes. The miser. Forget it, forget it. Jin Mao asked the woman, "Why are you coming to my territory?" The woman's wild flirtatious glances disgusted Jin Mao, saying, "Speak up. Otherwise, I'll kill you." Originally plain in appearance, with a muddy face and a dark and unadorned appearance, she can compete with sows. The woman finally answered honestly, "It turned out that there was a pest outbreak in the tribe, with no harvest of crops and grains. As winter was about to pass, she came to the north to forage and harvest." According to the woman's opinion, this nomadic style of practice is very normal in the Baiyue tribe. "Are there any other departments affected by insect infestations besides yours?" The woman nodded and said several tribal names, all located near her tribe. The joy of victory was instantly dissipated. "How many people are there each?" Seeing the woman puzzled, Jin Mao put it another way. "Which tribe is stronger than you?" The woman shook her head. Jin Mao breathed a sigh of relief. In fact, he didn't know that this tribe was formed by the merger of two major tribes, and it was the leader of another tribe who died at Shuyuan. www.zhaoshuyuan.com. I know everything I need to know, and the rest is how these people should handle it. Jin Mao actually wants to stay alive. There are still nearly 100 strong laborers here, what a great job. Winter is coming soon, and feeding these hundreds of people requires a lot of food. At this moment, Wu Tian felt embarrassed and asked, "Young master, these women, there are still many bachelors in our family. They all have tattoos on their faces, don't you mind? Tenants still care a lot." "That's true." Jin Mao is not used to this society yet, so he specifically asked Baiyue women. Except for the woman in charge who refused, everyone was willing. Jin Mao's operation shocked everyone present for many times, and his reverence for him grew stronger. Some even muttered, "I'm afraid the young master may not have descended to the mortal world as an immortal, so he treats people too well." The next morning, Jin Mao counted the number of people and found that their side had injured more than 30 people, with 5 seriously injured. Upon inquiry, it was found that the majority of casualties were non-combat casualties, and only the 5 severely injured individuals were injured in direct combat. Although no one died, the way they looked at those 5 seriously injured soldiers was like looking at dead people. Jin Mao didn't think much, relying on basic medical knowledge, he simply bandaged the wounds of a few people. And he instructed, "Give them good food these days, wrap them with clean cloth every day, and they should be able to survive." What? Still alive? Wu Tian was shocked to the point of breaking the sound. The expressions of others are also similar. As long as there is no fever, one should be able to live. The sunlight shone right into the valley, and Jin Mao bathed in it like a deity. This scene is deeply imprinted in the hearts of everyone. Chapter 4. County Magistrate scared away. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the matter has come to an end. Jean Mao's hanging heart also fell to the ground, exhaustion sweeping through his body, but he still needs to finish his work. The task assigned by the county magistrate this time can be said to have been successfully completed. Golden sheep, this time you're going back, the task is heavy. Firstly, it is natural to seek rewards from the county magistrate. Jean Mao is just a small person, he is really foolish for not seeking rewards for his contributions. Secondly, I need to present my name and facts to the county magistrate. I have already written them all, so please hand over this bamboo slip to the county magistrate. At present, Jean Mao has become a true miser in Jinyan Mountain. As soon as they returned to the hinterland of Jinyan Mountain, Wu Tian and others praised Jean Mao to the sky. What immortals descend to the mortal world, what killing Baiyue is like slaughtering a dog, causing the people of Jinyan Mountain to almost confess Jean Mao. How can we go back to the county town? Thirdly, this time you can only bring 8 people back. I will use the remaining people. This volume is a letter I wrote to my clan. The content of the 2 letters is vastly different, so the county magistrate naturally wants to exaggerate the facts. At least they have to exaggerate the enemy by 2 or 3 times in order to seek credit. As for the faith within the clan, it must be presented with facts and reasoning. This time, the clan gave great support to Jean Mao, who is a person who shows gratitude and seeks to repay. Before he decides to run away, at least he can't leave a mess for his clan. Tangxi Township, the seat of Wushang County. It has been 1 month since Jean Mao took office, and it has been October. The news that spread from the Central Plains to Wushang County is not only lagging behind, but also half true and half false, causing people's emotions to fluctuate. Even the ghost stories of Zhu Xi's downfall and Jingzhou Huangjin's attempt to bring him to Yangzhou are believed by some. This day, the golden sheep, covered in dust and wind, finally rushed back. The county magistrate of Wushang immediately convened a high-level meeting of the county, and everyone came happily, thinking they wanted to hear the good news. Unexpectedly, Jean Yang is a boastful person. This nonsense not only boosted Jean Mao's achievements and abilities, but also scared 10 people present to death. Nonsense. The Wushang County magistrate's face turned pale and he angrily rebuked, with just 100 county soldiers, you can annihilate 1,000 people. Is Jean Mao the reincarnation of the champion Ho? Jean Yang was very dissatisfied and said, what's this? Uncle Mao can still live to death with flesh and bones. I saw with my own eyes the scar so big on Li Da's chest, and I saw all the bones. Jean Yang extended his left hand and swiped from his right chest to the left, with such a serious injury, Uncle Mao managed to revive Li Da. Immediately, even the 2 clan chiefs Jin Gao, Lu Yi, widened their eyes. Impossible. The county magistrate of Wushang went crazy. No one in the world can do it. What's so unbelievable about this? Since World War I, Jean Yang has become a staunch fan of Jean Mao, not even the county magistrate. Mummy, this is what Uncle Mao wrote to you. If you don't believe it, read it yourself. Wushang County Magistrate suddenly stood up and walked 3 or 2 steps to Jean Yang. He grabbed the bamboo slips and looked more and more gloomy. That's all for today's discussion. The county magistrate of Wushang left the crowd in a hurry. When outsiders left, the hall immediately became a mess. Jean Yang, are you really saying that? Is Mao really that powerful? Golden sheep, please explain in detail. Golden sheep. I can't blame the people of Lu Jin and his family for not being in a hurry. It's just that Jean Yang was restless and acted recklessly. As soon as he got home, he went straight to the county government office, and everyone didn't get angry. Clan leader, this is what Uncle Mao asked me to hand over to you. Faced with the family, Jean Yang was a bit hesitant and dared not boast. He honestly handed over the bamboo slips. Jin Gao snatched the bamboo slip, glanced at it twice, and quickly closed it. Let's go, let's talk about it when we get home. Lu Yi was so anxious that he scratched his ears and cheeks, but couldn't grab the bamboo slips on the spot. He urged, let's go, let's go. Luan and the younger generation were 8 people who called along with Jin Yang to inquire about the situation while walking. The Jin family is located south of the county government office, while the Lu family is located north. The two families radiate and encompass half of Tangxi Township. In the lobby of the Jin family, both inside and outside were people, and all the influential people from the Jin and Lu families came. Jin Gao and Lu Yi sat on their heads, both of whom had seen bamboo slips. There are 2 main things to call everyone together. Jin Gao from the right seat stood up and said, the first thing is that Jin Mao, the legitimate grandson of the Jin family, defeated Fu Jian and Vietnam at Jinyan Mountain, annihilated 61 enemies, captured 255, and achieved a great victory. Kai. Lu Yi took the lead and cheered the whole room. The second thing is that Jin Mao wrote a letter stating that there will be chaos in the south, and there will also be insect infestations in Wugu, Fujian and Vietnam. In the near future, they may invade Wushang. Everyone was discussing, but there was no panic when victory came first, but no constructive suggestions were put forward. When the time was ripe, Lu Yi signaled to Luan, who was serving as the county magistrate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a proposal. Since Jin Mao has the ability to defeat a group of Mingyue, it can naturally defeat more Mingyue. Luan stated the result of the 2 main factions' discussion. As long as we provide enough money, food, and equipment, we believe that Jin Mao will be able to block the enemy. At one point, there were both sides agreeing and opposing. But there are always a few who oppose it, and they are also short-sighted individuals. In the future, their relationship with their clan will naturally become distant. Then, each family put in their efforts and quickly gathered the 300 pieces of military supplies needed by Jin Mao verbally. The support from the Jin and Lu families for Jin Mao is partly due to the promotion of the 9 members of Jin Yang, and the other half is also the confidence revealed in Jin Mao's letter. Jin Mao is well aware that if you want to deceive, you should deceive outsiders. If your family doesn't tell the truth, don't cry out when someone stabs you in the back. So within a few days, another team of 100 people led by Lu Xia, the eldest son of Lu Hua, collaborated with 9 people from Jinyang to escort supplies to Jinyan Mountain. On the other side, the bamboo slip letter from the magistrate of Jinmao County is not as friendly anymore. Blowing big facts is just a basic exercise, and Jin Mao even exaggerated the number of people in Fujian and Vietnam, all exceeding 1,000. In the letter, Jin Mao hopes that the county magistrate can also request support when reporting meritorious service to the county. This county magistrate has already committed a crime in the Central Plains and went to Wushang County to avoid trouble. When encountering such a situation, what else is there to say? After Jin Yang and others set off, Luan went to the county government office to report on their work and was surprised to find that no one was around. Did the county magistrate run away? In the lobby of the Lu family, Lu Yi was also shocked to find the book garden www.zhaosuiyuan.com. It's simply unheard of, he said. Father, that was before. Luan presented a roll of bamboo slips. This year, the county magistrate who abandoned the county and fled due to the Yellow Turban Moth Thieves' rebellion is not the only one. Originally, the county magistrate of Wushang had always been in contact with the outside world, knowing more than the local tycoons. Lu Yi closed the bamboo slip and couldn't help but laugh and cry. The Jin family has produced a Chiliner. The majestic county leader has been scared away by his words. Luan agreed but also had doubts. Jin Mao did not see such wisdom earlier. Hey, Lu Yi sneered and glanced at the air. When you were a child, you couldn't compare to him. Aren't you also very intelligent now? Luan sneered and stopped speaking. Lu Yi handed back the bamboo slip and said, take it to Uncle Jean to read. Tell him that Jean Mao is the Qilin of our family. Father, is it too much? Luan still wanted to argue, as he, as the recognized predecessor of both races, Qilin heir, did not receive such treatment. Don't say too much, go ahead. When leaving, Luan felt a bit resentful. Lu Yi saw it in his eyes, but after being a father and son for 40 years, he knew Lu En's weight best. Swallows and sparrows know the aspirations of swans. From Jean Mao's series of actions, Lu Yi felt that he had sensed this son's ambition. Jean family. Upon learning what Lu Yi meant, Jean Mao felt a sense of heroic agreement. Jean Shan, from now on, as long as Mao asks, do your best to fulfill it. Jean Shan doesn't have the same unhappy plot as Luan, and besides, he watched Jean Mao grow up, so Jean Mao counts him half. Over the years of care, Jean Mao really calls his father qualified. If my son is successful, being a father will only bring joy. Even if Jean Gao didn't say this, Jean Shan would still mention it. What kind of experience is the first entrepreneurship in Chapter 5? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, in October, the weather in Jinyan Mountain turns cooler. Jinyan Mountain is a small basin where villagers cultivate fields on both sides of the bad water and live on the surrounding half-mountain slopes. The 100 or so young heroes led by Wu Tian are actually the collective of the entire township. At most, there are only 600 households living in the entire Jinyan Mountain, with less than 300 households living around the basin. Now is the season of harvest. Jean Mao is still unaware of what has happened in Wushan County, as he is lying halfway up the mountain sunbathing. Excellent medical skills, that's just a coincidence, it's due to the tenacious vitality of the indigenous people. Not to mention the record of a god of war, the fierceness of Fujian and Vietnam is not as fierce as that of ancient puzzle fighters when gathered together. People only believe in what they see and experience firsthand. So, Jean Mao's reputation in Jinyan Mountain has long surpassed his own cognition. At the foot of the mountain, by the foul water, in the fields. Everywhere are people with smiles, even if the crops are reduced by half, the big guy is still happy. It's not that Jean Mao doesn't want to help, but rather that the common people don't let him take action, and to put it a step further, there are also Minua prisoners serving as laborers. The Chinese people are so kind and simple. As long as there is a bite to eat, who will rebel if they step on horseback? A few days ago, when the Minua prisoners first arrived at Jinyan Mountain, they always wanted to escape. Unexpectedly, after feeding 2 meals of wild vegetable congee every day, the remaining Minua prisoners no longer ran away, even those who had run away before came back secretly, and the number was still more than the initial number. What surprised Jean Mao even more was that in addition to the scattered people in this group, there were also 5 other tribes scattered in the mountains in the newly arrived Minua region. That day, Minua female leader Lan Ji declared, "A great disaster is about to befall you, and I am waiting to collect your body." This is the opening line that lobbyists like to use the most. Jean Mao thought to himself, looking at Lan Ji's expression of, "Ask me quickly," again. Jean Mao felt that she was always close. He didn't fall for it, so he turned around and called for Baishe, the younger brother of the deceased male leader. Minua worships the strong and has no family values, so Baishe has no idea of revenge. And Baishe's admiration for Jean Mao was even greater than that of Jinyang, so he immediately revealed the truth. They are all hard-working people. Jean Mao touched the kindness in his heart and couldn't bear to kill them. Let them go. Under the command of Baishe, Lanji sneered, "You are so weak, sooner or later you will perish." Jean Mao retorted, "You're useless like this, sooner or later get out of here." Lanji is silent and helpless, unwilling to get married and not involved in farming. As a prisoner, she eats idle food every day. If she doesn't leave, who will leave? But she dare not say her own expertise, she can only find ways to prove her value from other things. Around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there is lunch. It has been a month and a half, but Jin Mao is still not accustomed to a daily diet without salt or oil. The villagers are already satisfied with every meal they have, let alone eating meat. In addition, Baiyue County has a shortage of mineral resources, and besides stones, there are still no salt or iron visible in the mountains. Suddenly, a commotion came from the foot of the mountain. Various dialects were speaking wildly, and upon careful listening, Jin Mao couldn't help but cry and laugh. He quickly went down the mountain to prevent the two sides who were unable to speak the language from fighting again. Quiet. Shut up, everyone. After pacifying the angry villagers, Jin Mao Kai turned to Fujian and Vietnam. Leader, they are refusing to leave. Please kill them. Baishe knelt down to Jin Mao and said sternly, the warriors of Bai family village are waiting for your command. Shut up. Jin Mao supported his forehead, but Baishe was stubborn and belligerent. Even the 9 oxen who were determined could not be pulled back, and he only listened to his words. I let you go free, why is there so much noise? The 20 new people from Fujian and Vietnam knelt down and kowtowed, shouting, God Lord, with various tongues, similar to what Jin Mao heard on the mountain. Is there anyone who would rather be a slave than be free? This once again refreshed Jin Mao's understanding. Jin Mao, who lives in the era of technology, would not understand the underlying ecology of this era. For these people, being able to live is more important than anything else. Freedom. What is freedom? That is death. You should know that these 20 people are all young and strong, why are there no ages? Only heaven knows. So, if Jin Mao drives them away, it means they will die. Can we not make a fuss? Of course, no one will tell Jin Mao about all of this. Since you voluntarily want to be slaves, what can't I agree to? God is alive, and, thank God, 20 people sing praises and praises, but there is no culture. They shout back and forth just these 2 sentences. 20 more mouths adds a great burden. Jin Mao didn't know how much support his clan would give him, but he knew that the current Jinyan mountain couldn't support so many people. In the past, when I looked at the 3 kingdoms, I only saw Chao Lu and Sun Yat-sen with all their might. Jin Mao sighed, I only now realize that I don't know the necessities of life without being in charge. He knows there are some things he can't wait for anymore. Baishe, from today on, you will be the commander of Fujian and Vietnam, and these 20 people will be under your jurisdiction. Choose another elite village from Baijiazhai and Lanjiazhai to form the Mingyue army, and I will train them tomorrow. Only. Baishe had already learned a few simple words of elegant language and agreed excitedly. Lu Mu. Lu Mu. Jin Mao turned around and was startled. You're lying down. Can't you just say a word? Lu Mu blushed and lowered his head. He had the opposite temperament to Jin Yang, silent and introverted, with words as precious as gold. Jin Mao spoke again, from now on, help Jin Yang build a combat team, with county soldiers as the backbone and villagers as the branches and leaves. Help during busy farming hours and train during idle farming hours. Did you remember? Lu Mu nodded earnestly. Jin Mao finally breathed a sigh of relief. He still has a lot to do next. Refusing to understand, from autumn harvest to spring, people in this era tend to farm less. How can this work? In later times, Baiyue County was one of the main planting areas for winter rapeseed. Rapeseed is a good thing, whether it's the extracted oil or the remaining tea bran, it has a wide range of uses at zhaozuiyuan.com. Rapeseed oil goes without saying much, it is edible and can provide lighting, it is top-notch. Tea bran can not only be used as fertilizer, but also as an excellent insecticide when soaked with plant ash. Even tea bran can wash hair. Jin Mao would never say that his scalp itched so much that he wanted to plant rapeseed. As an outstanding graduate of Agricultural University, when Jin Mao first arrived, he discovered that there were already rapeseed varieties in Wushan County, but they were not of a large scale. There are many reasons. In the early stages, it was cabbage-type rapeseed, which was afraid of pests, had poor disease resistance, and had low yields. However, Jin Mao happens to know how to improve seeds. So, after the autumn harvest, Jin Mao decided to plant on a large scale in Wushan County, as stated in his letter to his grandfather. Regardless of whether other towns can plant it, Jin Mao is confident that Jinyan Mountain will definitely be filled with plants. Rapeseed pressing is also a difficult problem. At present, there is already a wood pressing method, but the process is complex, coupled with the scattered distribution of each process, the efficiency is low, and the oil yield is not high. To form a scale, large-scale wood crushing workshops are needed. Jin Mao knew in his heart, first of all, there must be a large wood press. Secondly, we need to build a soil embryo house. Take a look at the house he lives in, a single room with a wooden structure. It can be considered the most luxurious house in Jinyan Mountain, while others can only live in a thatched shed, and even in Baiyue, they have to live on trees. It's all big projects. The key is that he has to take care of all these things. The villagers have no education, and Fujian and Vietnam are not civilized. Apart from being able to work hard, he can't help anything. Starting a business is really difficult. Thinking about it made me feel tired. When can I go to the Central Plains? Minggong, I miss you. Chow Chow, the cavalry captain of Emperor Guangzong, suddenly sneezed and cursed inwardly. Zhang Liang, who entered his mother's house, hasn't come out yet to suffer death. He has caused Nai Gong to eat wind here. Chapter 6. So you are Wu Tian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, yeah air-e. Baisher, don't look at me, take care of your soldiers. Hey. Don't go into the ditch. Baisher. Flexibility. Understand. Flexibility. Lu Mu. Where are people? Sleeping trough. I didn't say you're the one, I said you're the one. Did you see that? What did it all look like? It has been 5 days since the last time the formation was divided into 2 parts, and Jin Mao has fully applied the methods of military training from his previous life school. Stand in line, walk in unison, turn left and right, and run. Now, whether it's Baiyue or county militia, they all memorized this strange slogan and training method. There are constant problems. The Baiyue soldiers are progressing rapidly, and apart from running and walking, other commands have a certain degree of completion. The only problem is being stubborn. As long as Jin Mao doesn't order to stop, even if there is a river ahead, even if someone doesn't know how to swim, they can rush down without hesitation. The problem with county soldiers and militia is even greater. As soon as the novelty wears off, they become lazy and scattered. Lu Mu, who led the team, appeared dull on the outside but was clever on the inside, always able to pull him back at the edge of the collapse of the queue. Unfortunately, Lu Mu is clumsy and always gets retorted by subordinates, making it difficult to lead the entire team. Of course, this also depends on the number of people. There are 200 soldiers in the county army, and only 100 soldiers from Fujian and Vietnam. When Jin Mao was in a state of anxiety, he always thought to himself, let's just do practical exercises. But such irresponsible behavior cannot be done by Jin Mao. On the oil extraction workshop side, the site selection has ended, and Jin Mao is preparing to build the soil embryo house in the center of the turning point of the foul water. This happens to be the central point of the Jinyan Mountain Basin, and if rapeseed is harvested later, it is also convenient to send it for oil extraction. Once the clay and stone materials have been selected, we are waiting for the start of construction. As for planting winter rapeseed, there is no exception in Jinyan Mountain. At that time, Jin Mao probably wouldn't have thought that his prestige had reached this level. The most difficult thing is actually the problem with the seeds. The quantity is too small, not to mention improving the variety, but the local variety is far from enough. Lunch meal. At the end of the day's training, more than 300 people circled around a dozen or so pots. Jin Mao wanted to treat everyone equally and eat the same pot of rice, but his subordinates did not think or do so. The best place to eat is the 200 county army, followed by the Baiyue old troops, and another 20 Fujian Vietnamese soldiers. The chain of disdain has formed, and the county army believes that they followed Jin Mao the earliest and should eat the best. The Baiyue tribe also believed this, and similarly, they despised the later Fujian and Vietnam. The most outrageous thing is that later Fujian and Vietnam also believed so. Fortunately, Jin Mao didn't know what these people were thinking, otherwise everyone would have to ask, why? Uncle Mao. Uncle Mao. Jin Mao is burying his head in eating, his meals are the best in the team, dry food. Vaguely hearing someone calling him, Jin Mao lifted his head and saw Jin Yang waving his hands and running towards him excitedly from a distance. "Line up," roared in Minuet dialect. Jin Mao was surrounded before he could react. "Dissolve," he ordered in anger and laughter. Squeezing open the encirclement, Jin Mao stepped forward to support Jin Yang, who was about to kneel. He stretched his neck and looked around. "Why are you alone?" "Behind. It's all behind." Jin Mao said happily, "I miss you so much, so I'm in a hurry to come see you." Jin Mao knew that Jin Yang had no other meaning, and only said so with great respect, which immediately moved him. Okay. Is the road peaceful?" "Uncle Mao, don't underestimate me. Even if a big bug sees me, it has to run for its life." Jin Maoguaner, the reason why he did not correct Lu Mu was to leave the position of county soldier leader to Jin Yang. In his opinion, with the cooperation of these two people, 1 + 1 is definitely greater than 2. A large number of supplies and technical personnel are about to arrive. 300 people who have just completed training, under the command of Jin Mao, will go to receive them. As a result, the queue that Jin Mao saw as very poor was a great shock to the new 100 people. The first two of them, one named Jin Yun, is Jin Mao's cousin, who is the only son of his uncle Jin Shan. The other is Lu Fang, the eldest son of Lu Gan, the third son of Lu Yi. "Brother Zhong, you are comparable to Han Bingxian alive." Jin Yun was a bookworm, full of words. "Why did you come?" Jin Mao had a headache. "How could I send you back? Once you come, be content with it." Jin Yun confidently smiled and said, "Brother Zhong treated me lightly." Jin Mao was speechless, but very enthusiastic towards Lu Fang. "Bo Wu, Lu Fang's courtesy name, you came at the right time. Lu Fang has a strong physique and has read books, but he prefers to forge iron. At the age of only 21, he became a famous blacksmith in Wushan County. I need to build a brick and stone house that is 10 feet wide. I am a blacksmith." I know, Jin Mao continued, "after building a house, we also need to build a large wooden oil press." "I am a blacksmith." "Got it," Jin Mao retorted, "there's no place to make iron here. You can't build a house first. Besides, how can you make iron without raw materials? Let me show you the blueprint in my mind." Among these 100 or so people, only 20 are here to join the army, and the rest are all the craftsmen requested by Jin Mao. After some understanding, Jin Mao found with a headache that among these so-called craftsmen, they were mostly bricklayers. Helpless, send everyone to build a house, it's a professional match. The beautiful sunset reflects half of the sky red. Jin Mao settled down and carried his tired body back to his residence. Two women, one old and one young, knelt at the door. Driven by curiosity, Jin Mao walked in and discovered the new world. There really are women with such a figure in the world. I saw the young girl thin and bony, but her features were not ambiguous at all, supporting her loose gray clothes in shape. Unfortunately, my eyes are too small, my face is too round, and I'm not white enough. If. Jean Mao dispelled his evil thoughts and approached, asking, "What are you two looking for me for?" "Master, please be kind. Please be kind." The old woman didn't look who it was, but knocked on it first. "Mother." The sunset blushed half of the girl's face, and the other half also turned red. "This is the miserly old man." "Ah." The old woman stood up straight and saw the two of them frowning, their eyes twitching, crying uncontrollably. "Grandpa, my family can't afford to pay rent anymore. What should we do this winter?" The old woman cried and looked at Jean Mao with a corner of her eye, seeing his gaze hooked into her daughter's chest and secretly feeling proud. "There's no way, we can only sell women. Master, please do me a favor and take my little girl. It's her good fortune to find the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com as a servant." "Ah. Selling your daughter." Jean Mao finally came to his senses. "Tell me if you have any difficulties, and I will help you uphold justice." The old woman felt contemptuous in her heart, thinking that it was Jean Mao who asked her to make a request, and she was not hesitant. "I don't want too much either. Just give me 100 grains of corn and wheat, that's enough." "Nanny." Jean Mao wanted to explain, but his eyes couldn't move as if they were on a girl. There was no way he could do it. He hadn't eaten meat for the past 2 months, and even the sow could compete with Jiao Chan. At this moment. Lang Jun. Little Lang Jun. Wu Tian rushed out of breath, but his face showed a fierce expression when facing the old woman. "Low servant, why don't you go back now?" The old woman was very afraid of Wu Tian and hesitated, afraid to speak up. Cough cough. Jean Mao asked, "Wu Lao, what's wrong with them?" Wu Tian's eyes were full of venom, and Jean Mao's small movements were all in his eyes. He was secretly pleased in his heart, but his face was very serious. Wu Tian said to the old woman, "You go back, sure, the girl's name will stay." When the old woman wanted to speak, Wu Tian said directly, "A woman can pay 10 years' rent, and I'll give you another family's winter food." Having witnessed a women's trade firsthand, Jean Mao's 3 views were shattered. "Little Lang, if you like this girl, I'll buy it and warm your bed. Don't blame me for meddling." "No. I don't have it." Jean Mao vehemently denied. "What you're saying is." Wu Tian agreed, knowing that the young man has thin skin. "Look at your dirty clothes, there must be someone doing laundry and cooking." Jean Mao was in a dilemma. Finally, Wu Tian used his ultimate skill and said, "Alas, if you don't want it, then you'll give me a discount." Sure enough, Jean Mao roared inwardly. "So you are like Wu Tian." Chapter 7. He Wei Seeks Help. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the next morning. Jean Mao hurriedly finished breakfast and went out with a guilty heart. Breakfast was made by Shiyu, a new name he gave to the girl. Since the 3 views were shattered yesterday, Jean Mao feels like he has changed his personality. The main reason is that Shiyu is too young, only 15 years old. "I'm such an animal." That's the way it is said, but Jean Mao's mind always has inappropriate images. Beasts. Today, there are many things happening in Jean Mao. He first needs to arrange for Jin Yang to enter the county army team, then organize the groundbreaking ceremony for the factory building by the masons, and also arrange for the sowing of rapeseed. Lunch meal. Jean Mao is exhausted enough, this must have nothing to do with last night. No, I have to split it in half, no, 3 petals. He hopes to have a clone technique, and he has to do everything himself, which is too inefficient. I need to find a helper. Jean Mao, who had never done management work before, first realized the strength of Sun Yu. I can't manage just one township anymore. How awesome should Wang Zuiji be, Sun Yu? He never had a moment like now when he longed to find a strategist from the three kingdoms to work. One day in the future, if I have a few ambitious strategists under my command, then I will turn to Mengde again. At the very least, one must be granted the title of Marquis. Wake up from a dream, it's time to work. Boyan, I have a challenging task assigned to you, and I hope you can handle it. Although there were no strategists, Jin Yun was at least a scholar and a scarce resource in ancient times. Without giving Jin Yun the opportunity to do as he pleases, Jin Mao made a decisive decision. You are responsible for recording everything, such as grain and grass consumption, soil and rock mining, and craftsmen's salaries. Record everything in detail. Jin Yun's face was full of confusion, and he murmured for a while, not knowing what allusion to use to refuse. That's settled. Jin Mao turned to look for Lu Fang and said, Bo Wu, the matter of building a house is up to you. I have only one requirement. The house must be sturdy, large, tall, and spacious. Anyway, according to your highest technical standards, Lu Fang. I am. All right. Jin Mao rudely interrupted, you see, I can't handle it alone. I'm not my own brother, I'm not calling you. Okay, Lu Fang thought for a moment and requested, I need Lu Mu to help me. Lu Mu. Jin Mao frowned, I'll go ask his opinion first. To be honest, in Jin Mao's eyes, Lu Mu is not enough to be a leader, but he is an excellent assistant. However, Golden Sheep integrated quickly, and in just half a day, these soldiers were more willing to listen to Golden Sheep's words. In this way, Lu Mu appears less important in the county army team. Faced with Jin Mao's inquiry, Lu Mu readily agreed to build a house. Obviously, Lu Mu also understood his situation very well. Who? After arranging things, Jin Mao finally breathed a sigh of relief. If the factory is built well, the work on the wood press can be postponed. As noon approached, Jin Mao lay on the largest open-air rock by the edge of the foul water and began to calculate. The weather has been very good these days, and I'm afraid it will rain in a few more days. The improvement in military training is getting smaller and smaller. We need to pull out these Minyu stocks before it rains. Only by removing hidden dangers can we cultivate rapeseed seeds with peace of mind on rainy days. Time was tight, and Jin Mao had to get up and take out a wooden post from his arms to gather his troops. Is Uncle Mao going to fight? Jin Yang is just a clever kid. Guess it right, there's no reward. Jin Mao smiled. White Stone arrived. Baishur was so excited that he almost jumped up. You arrange for a few nimble people to enter the mountain to search for the enemy, each carrying 2 days' worth of dry food. Once the food is depleted, they will return. Only. Baishur knew without asking, that the enemy was those few Minua troops. Uncle Mao, what about us? Jin Mao rolled his eyes and said, just organize your team well. When will you be decent and when will we be able to fight? As soon as Jin Mao left, the county army went to eat in a noisy manner, completely ignoring the formation. On the other hand, the Minua soldiers on the other side were always waiting for orders from Baishur and making judgments. Jin Yang's eyebrows furrowed tightly, and these county soldiers dared not be reckless under Jin Shan's command. For Uncle Mao, fight hard. On the other side, Baishur attaches great importance to this mission, but he has his own plans and understanding. You all heard me, Baishur led the team to one side and admonished, God has orders, and the people in the mountains only have 2 ways to go. Either die or surrender. I know you have relatives, brothers, and even fathers and sons. Baishur stared fiercely at the 20 people at the bottom of the contempt chain. No one dared to look directly into Baishur's eyes, and they all lowered their heads. God is kind and cannot be let down. Baishur revealed a plan to prepare for several days. 20 of you are familiar with each village, so you can go back and persuade surrender. God is kind, I am not. I hope the leaders of each village don't be ignorant. 20 people remain silent like cicadas. In fact, Baiyue was able to train the 100-player team so well because he was tough enough. Stinger. I have long been beaten to death and thrown into the mountains to feed wolves. When these 20 people set off into the mountain, Baiyue summoned 20 people from Baiyue village, all of whom were his confidants. You each catch one person, keep an eye on me carefully. If you want to deceive or refuse to surrender, engrave it in my heart. This kind of person, damn it. 20 people laughed grimly together, then silently followed the group of people ahead into the mountain. All of this, Baiyue did not shy away from it. The remaining 60 soldiers from Fujian and Vietnam looked at Baiyue with the eyes of a demon. 2 days later. Jinyan Mountain is on the right track, with Jinmao bustling during the day and busy at night. This is really tough. Lanji, who lives next door, dares not go out every day with a pair of panda eyes. Recently, Lu Feng has been fond of building houses and no longer complains. He arrives at the construction site as early as possible and leaves at the latest every day. However, Jin Yun encountered big trouble on his end. His records were too concise, which made Jin Mao look very difficult. For example, when mining 5,000 kilograms of stone today, it is recorded as 5,000 kilograms of stone without any beginning or end. It is unknown who picked it and who used it. Zhaoshuyuan.com. At the end of the calculation, will the wages be divided equally? Those who haven't worked will have fun, those who have worked will cry again, and in the end, no one will work anymore. Jin Yun's reasons are very clear. These people are either from their own families, or they are either hired with money or come to serve in Corps AE labor. They keep a clear record of what they are doing. The truth is the same. No matter how Jin Mao explains, Jin Yun just can't understand. You bookworm. Jin Mao looked anxiously. Confucius said. Do not suffer from scarcity but from inequality. What does this sentence mean? Oh. I see. Jin Yun understood instantly. Gone. As a graduate of Agricultural University, do I still need to master the analects? Jin Mao is unable to roast, and the idea of looking for a counselor is getting stronger. After resolving Jin Yun, Jin Mao hurriedly rushed to the seedling breeding base. The so-called seedling base refers to a wooden frame with a grass shed, which is transparent on all sides and can only provide shade. Seeing some of the newly cultivated rape seeds sprouting, Jin Mao felt comfortable and fulfilled. You can sow in a few more days. The entire seedling cultivation base covers half an acre, while the new variety seedlings cultivated by Jin Mao only account for 1%. But I believe that in the near future, improving rapeseed flowers will definitely eliminate the original species. Where is the miserly man in Jinyan Mountain? A soldier on horseback asked loudly. From afar, Jin Mao saw the person coming. Cavalry wearing armor. Throughout Wuxiang County, Jin Mao has only heard of one person. Brother He. The person who came is from Lisho, the county magistrate He Wei. 100,000 urgent matters, wise brother, help. He Wei wanted to dismount, but rolled off and fell with a bruised nose and swollen face, even dropping his helmet. Upon closer inspection, the armor rusted and the horse was also an old one. Chapter 8. Some things I dare not think of, that is lack of strength. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the He family in Lisho is a local ethnic group. Their ancestors have served as officials in Wuxiang County, and the most famous one is undoubtedly the father of He Wei, He Dong. Legend has it that He Dong once served under the command of the Huqiang colonel. Only limited to legend, who would believe that a southerner would run so far to become a cavalry. It can only be said that the cavalry of He Dong is very complex in composition. Brother He, don't panic. Jin Mao stepped forward to help. Speak slowly if you have something to say. It's not urgent. He Wei shook his head and sighed, only a wise brother in Wushan County has the ability to save me. He Wei spoke quickly and said, the day before yesterday, Pan Lin, the commander of the Yao ethnic group, sent someone to inform him that he wanted to receive autumn grain. The people of Lizhou were unwilling and spontaneously formed a guard to resist. Yesterday, Pan Lin sent someone again, but was killed by the guards. Pan Lin was furious and launched a large army to attack. He will arrive in Lizhou tomorrow. Speaking of this, He Wei howled and said, young man, for the sake of past love, save the people of Lizhou. Upon hearing this, without hesitation, he withdrew his hand and let He Wei fall into a daze. Nima, I'm not stupid. Pan Lin is not comparable to Mingyue, although both are Baiyue, their combat effectiveness is completely at 2 levels. Besides, where did the Lizhou guard have the confidence to say no to Pan Lin? Not to mention Wushan County, who dares to say no to Pan Lin next door in Taima and Shan County. Speaking of which, Jin Mao still knew how cruel Pan Lin was from He Wei's mouth. In the blink of an eye, He Wei himself forgot about it. Brother He, I apologize for my helplessness. Good brother. Good brother. Seeing Jin Mao shrink back, He Wei gritted his teeth and promised, as long as my wise brother is willing to help, everyone in Lizhou is willing to offer 10 gold rewards. 1 gold is equivalent to 10,000 coins, which is equivalent to 2,005 baht coins. Jin Mao earns 16 baht coins per month, which is equivalent to 165 baht coins. This is not about money. He Wei panicked and pounced forward, holding on to Jin Mao's thigh without letting go. Young man, you can't just die without saving yourself. In previous years, Pan Lin received autumn grain worth only about 10 gold. Let go. Let go quickly. Jin Mao is afraid of death. He Wei wiped his nose and tears onto Jin Mao's thighs, but he didn't let go. The rusty iron armor pricked people in pain, and Jin Mao couldn't help but shout, someone. The 5 county soldiers charged forward with short spears, frightening He Wei to immediately let go and flee. Stop it. These 5 county soldiers are Jin Mao's personal guards, all brothers of the 5 seriously injured soldiers who were rescued by Jin Mao last time. He Wei was frightened and mounted his horse but refused to leave. My dear brother, it's not that you're a foolish man who speaks recklessly. If Lizhou is destroyed in an instant, Jinyan Mountain will also be doomed. Helping Lizhou means helping yourself. If it's not soft enough, then come hard. Threats. Jin Mao has never been the one to swallow his pride. Then I'll wait for Pan Lin to come to Jinyan Mountain and see if it's his Yao ethnic prowess or if my weapon is sharper. Indeed, he is afraid of both death and trouble. If he doesn't give a way out, the big deal is that the net will be broken. Jin Mao has always been a self-defense and counterattack personality, unless it is something that must be done. Jin Mao refused to take advantage of the situation, and He Wei had no way out. He could only explain the truth and pray that Jin Mao would take action for the sake of the same county. Originally, the reason why Lizhou dared to organize a guard was because Jin Mao gave them courage. Jin Mao enjoys a smooth sailing in Jinyan Mountain, and the people of Lizhou consider themselves to be decent and want to fight against the Yao ethnic group. Of course, daring to kill Pan Lin's envoy is purely because these people have drifted away. As a result, upon hearing that Pan Lin had brought over 1,000 people to seek revenge, it was only then that Lizhou realized the gap between the enemy and us and became panicked. As for He Wei, he is Captain Wei, the leader who has drifted away. I regret it so much. He Wei burst into tears again and said, my dear brother, as long as you save my brother this time, mine will be yours from now on. If you say I will go east, I will never go west. The chills hit, and Jin Mao unconsciously kept away from He Wei. Even so, Jin Mao doesn't want to help. The two haven't gotten to know each other yet. To take a step back, against 1,000-strong army, Jin Mao doesn't have that confidence. At this moment, What's the noise? A Minuet soldier rushed over, and Jin Mao recognized him as one of Baishu's confidants. Divine Lord, the Grand Marshal has led 2 villages to surrender to you. The Minuet soldiers were excited and threw themselves to the ground. The other 3 villages are also on the way to surrender. Lying trough. Why did you just submit? Let's go, let's go. Jin Mao was eager to know what had happened, causing the wandering Minuet 5 villages to all surrender. When the Divine King arrives later, we must treat him as if he were a deity. Baishu sternly rebuked, anyone who dares to disrespect the god will be even more miserable than those who have died. Nearly 300 people, most of them young and old, knelt in front of him and kowtowed repeatedly upon hearing reprimands. Seeing this, Baishu was very satisfied, and at the same time, he was very fortunate to be able to follow behind Jin Mao. These 2 villages were trying to feign surrender. Upon learning of this, Baishu immediately led the remaining troops to first kill the traitors and then destroy the young men of the 2 villages. The battle was a crushing and one-sided massacre from the beginning. Baishu attributed all of this to the divine power of Jin Mao. God is invincible. With God's guidance, we can also be invincible. He kept brainwashing himself and his subordinates. As for his deceased brother, Baishu even felt that he died well. After all, his brother did not treat his younger brother as a person. In fact, military training methods are not that strong. On the one hand, the Baishu tribe has been able to eat well these days, and on the other hand, this guy Baishu is willing to fight at all costs, and his subordinates are not afraid of their lives. In addition, Baishu imitates Jin Mao's sneak attack tactics and fights a group of hungry and unprepared Minuet soldiers every day. Don't be too simple. When Jin Mao arrived at the scene, he was completely shocked by the scene before him. I saw more than 300 people kneeling and kowtowing respectfully, shouting, God Lord. Looking like that, I wish I could kiss the back of his feet. Baishu, are you injured? Jin Mao noticed that there were wounds oozing blood on each of Baishu's arms and back at the forefront, and without hesitation, he tore off his sleeve to wrap it up. Suddenly, Baishu was moved to tears, and at this moment, Jin Mao wanted to commit suicide without hesitation. More than 300 people who surrendered also felt at ease, as this divine ruler was more benevolent than imagined. In the evening, more than 600 people surrendered to Zhaoxuan.com. The number of people under Jin Mao in Fujian and Vietnam has reached over 1,200, including more than 270 young men. The population of Fujian and Vietnam has accounted for 1/3 of the total population of Jinyun Mountain, far exceeding the limit of the number of people that Jinyun Mountain can afford. Jin Mao had to consider the next meal issue. At the dinner party. My dear brother, I have never admired anyone in my life. Now I only admire you. During the day, He Wei also experienced those things, and his admiration for this little brother was like a continuous flowing river. However, there is not much culture, and praising people is always dry. Brother, you're too humble. Jin Mao knew he couldn't rely solely on his family, he needed other assistance, and now he doesn't mind He Wei. He Wei has no other skills, but he has some skills in observing his words and expressions. Hey! Fool, you're dumb and can't say anything beautiful. He Wei gave a thumbs up and said, the whole Wushan County, my wise brother, is the same. Jin Mao made several concessions again. He Wei Kai got straight to the point. To be honest, those 10 gold coins were saved by the fool's family after years of frugality. If my wise brother can save Lizho from water and fire, I dare not say anything else in gratitude. He is more than enough to support these 1,200 people. Jin Mao's eyes lit up and he said, it's a deal. Ha ha ha. He Wei was overjoyed. To be honest, when I return to Lizho tomorrow, my foolish brother will inevitably have some gossip. My dear brother, don't forget your foolish brother in the future. It's easy to say, Jin Mao replied with his mouth, but he didn't believe a word in his heart. This guy is very slippery and won't tell the truth until he's in dire straits. What about He Wei destroying the promise? Is Jin Mao better off than Pan Lin now? The whole banquet was a feast of joy for both guests and hosts. Chapter 9. Smart Retirement of Pan Lin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, the next day. How can He Wei boast when he returns to Liz Ho? After thinking about Pan Lin's matter all night, Jin Mao finally came up with a solution for Shiryu. In the morning, Jin Mao called for Baishe, Jin Yang, Jin Yun, Lu Fang, and Wu Tian to hold a high-level meeting on Jinyun Mountain. Half an hour later, Jin Mao led 1,000 people from Fujian and Vietnam, with the exception of children who had not yet grown taller. Almost all of them were taken to Liz Ho. Jin Yang led 150 people to follow. Their main goals were to train soldiers and charge the scene. Everything went smoothly, but the only surprise was that Lanji, the former leader of the village, had to come with him in life and death. Interestingly, Lanji seems to be very famous in Fujian and Vietnam, even among the newly surrendered people. Their attitude towards Lanji, to put it simply, has a sense of respect and distance. Near a tributary of Zhejiang, Qiantang River, in Liz Ho. Lunch meal. He Wei's black face turned pale, and cold sweat broke out. Behind him was a group of well-dressed gentry, while in front of him was a black-faced man. Pan Lin is 7 feet and 8 feet tall, standing at the pinnacle of Baiyue. He has a wide skeleton, prominent joints, and exposed chest muscles, which clearly demonstrate his exceptional bravery. There were so many people present, only Pan Lin ate meat and drank alcohol without anyone around. The meat from Liz Ho tastes good. Pan Lin lifted the wine jar in the air, took only a few sips, and most of them fell to the ground, which made the gentry of Liz Ho feel heartbroken. What's even more surprising is that Pan Lin can speak elegant language, even with a strong accent. It's not easy. It's time to entertain. How are you considering it? That's my brothers and sisters. If you say, kill, you can kill me. I feel heartbroken. Without 500 gold, I can't explain it to my brothers. The gentry of Liz Ho all have bitter melon faces, and selling them all is not worth 500 gold. It's all because of He Wei. If it weren't for him being a demon, he would have paid 10 gold coins with peace of mind. So, the gentry all glared angrily at He Wei at the front. If his gaze could kill someone, He Wei had already died hundreds of times. Marshal, give us some time. As if sensing the killing intent behind him, He Wei licked his face and smiled apologetically. 500 gold is not much, but it takes time. Oh. Even Pan Lin was surprised. He knew the amount of oil and water in Liz Ho the best. He expected He Wei to dare to say that either there were big fish or there was danger. Before coming, Pan Lin knew very well that he had never passed through Wushan County on Jianglong Road. The most powerful force nearby, apart from Pan Lin, is only the newly rising Jin Mao. How many days does it take? He Wei wiped a cold sweat and forced himself to remain calm. Of course, the longer it takes, the better. Ha! Is it difficult? Do you still want to say 10 years? I still want 100 years, He Wei thought to himself. De Shuai jokingly said, how do you like a year? It's not impossible either. Pan Lin's eyes rolled. However, I want to borrow your land. When can I gather all the resources? When can I leave? This is even more excessive than robbing money. He Wei was already procrastinating, so he couldn't agree, but refusing directly was afraid of being chopped off on the spot. In a dilemma, He Wei faintly heard the sound of footsteps. Pan Lin, who had long been aware of it, remained calm and slowly cut his flesh. Only by walking in unison can such a momentum be achieved, and the people who came naturally were Jin Mao and the county army. The reason why Pan Lin remained calm in the face of danger was that there were indeed 1,000 people behind him, just over 400 young and strong. Seeing the savior finally coming, He Wei was pleasantly surprised and then panicked. When he ran to Jin Mao, he was already in a hurry. "Young man, why did you bring so many people?" Jin Mao reached out and clenched his fist, dividing the 150-member county army into 4 parts. The long-haired soldiers were in front, the wooden shield sword soldiers were on the left and right, and the archers were in the back. With just this one appearance, Pan Lin's face was full of fear. His Yao people couldn't do so neatly, nor did they have such professional segmentation. "It's not over yet." Jin Mao took out a wooden whistle from his arms. "Dee dee. Roar, roar." On the hillside behind Jin Mao, the roar of 1,000 people from Mingyue startled away countless birds. Pan Lin could no longer calm down and suddenly stood up, his face changing and eventually turning into a burst of laughter. "Ha ha ha. I've heard for a long time that a golden prince has emerged in Wushan County. At first sight today, I truly have an extraordinary demeanor." Jin Mao was surprised by Pan Linhui's elegant words and did not respond immediately. The scene was awkward. "Ha ha ha." Pan Linchi smiled. "There is an ancient saying in the Central Plains that goes well. Friends who come from afar, have a drink before leaving. I'll give you a toast, Liz Ho will give it to you, my friend. The implication is that if you don't recognize him as a friend, you might have done something wrong." Pan Lin waved back and immediately his subordinates brought a small jar of wine. Jin Mao heard a voiceover, and he didn't want to fight either. Being able to secure supplies was more important than anything else. "But it's not right to just take it over like this, the momentum is slightly weaker than the other party." At this moment, a beautiful figure rushed out from behind Jin Mao, snatched the wine bottle, and she patted the opening clay to smell it. "Cut, heartbreaking grass, I stopped playing when I was young." It was Lanji. Even just now, Pan Lin didn't move, except when he saw Lanji, he was scared and jumped a few big steps to distance himself. "Madame Dulan. You're still alive." Everyone present changed their colors, especially Jin Mao, a woman who is good at using poison. She was forced to listen to the wall next door every day, and it was normal for her to poison him. Jin Lang Jun's good method. Pan Lin bowed and admitted, "Even Lady Dulan can surrender. Today, I admit defeat." After speaking, he led his subordinates to leave. After the task was completed, the county troops immediately dispersed their formation. Being able to hold it for so long greatly exceeded Jin Mao's expectations. Seeing Lanji gradually approaching, Jin Mao instinctively wanted to step back but was just blocked by the approaching golden sheep. "Pu Tong." Lanji knelt down and pointed 3 fingers to the sky. "The gods are above, and now there is a woman named Lanji. She is willing to be driven by the gods and serve as a slave. She is willing to do so." These words are all in Mingyue dialect, and apart from Jin Mao, who can understand them, no one knows what was said. After speaking, Lanji ignored the gaze of others and stood up to return to behind Jin Mao. Cough, cough. Jin Mao's dry cough disguised embarrassment. What can he say? They have all taken an oath of allegiance, why bother asking, "Are you sincere?" Although I don't know what kind of nerves Lanji is having, Jin Mao can only choose to believe her. "Brother the matter has been completed. Look." Starting to argue again, Jin Mao's tense muscles began to relax. Behind him, Lanji sincerely smiled. "Mother, I finally found someone who is not afraid of me," Lanji thought to herself. All chance encounters are misunderstandings. In fact, Lanji is also very anxious. She knows what Baishe has done, and Baishe is deeply trusted by Jin Mao and has hostility towards her. She is afraid that if she doesn't show her value, she will be thrown into the wilderness. That night, sheep and pigs were slaughtered in Lizho Township, and the Jin Mao and his group were well entertained. He Wei is a coward to the outside, but he has 2 tricks inside. Not only did he collect a full amount of valuable materials worth 100 gold coins, but he also gave the old horse and iron armor left by his father to Jin Mao. Don't look like an old horse, not to mention its gentle personality, it can run even in the mountains and hills. Finally able to get rid of walking, Jin Mao was deeply moved. He picked out countless blisters on his feet, and his white and tender feet evolved to the point where they could go out without wearing shoes. Brother, don't worry, I will never forget you. He waited for this sentence, and an old chrysanthemum bloomed on his face. Hey, my own brother, why talk about two families? Jin Mao did not refute either. He was even happier and insisted on giving his hard-earned 10 gold coins to Jin Mao before leaving. If you don't accept it, you just look down on your brother and don't recognize me as a brother. Jin Mao tearfully accepted it. As Jin Mao left, Wei's wife couldn't help but complain, that's the savings of several generations of the He family. You're just giving people away like this. Hair is long, knowledge is short. Wei turned his head and turned his face. What do you know? My wise brother is a wandering real dragon, and one day he will soar. At that time, as long as there is a slight leak in his fingertips, our family will have endless wealth and honor. Chapter 10. The earliest shareholding system in history. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ads by Google equals window. Ads by Google. Push, Taimou County, the Jiaojia family of a prominent clan in Kuaiji County. Damn it. Yellow-mouthed children, bullying people too much. Pan Lin angrily slammed the table and arrived at the Jiao family. The more he thought about it, the more it went wrong. Finally, it was verified by the head of the Jiao family. He was deceived. It's a small matter. Jiao, the head of the Jiao family, once served as the county magistrate of Xinjiang County and was revered as the Jiao Xinjiang. There are many disciples, arrogant and domineering, even the county magistrate of Taimou is not taken seriously. A little money and food, Panda Shui will go to Jinyan Mountain and get it back. Pan Lin felt frustrated in his heart, picked up a wine bowl and took a sip, but the drop of wine did not leak. Jiao Xinjiang, please credit me with 10 sets of armor-piercing weapons. Little miser, it's easy to take him down. Jiao mercilessly slapped his face and said, Marshal Pan, can't it be that without armor, we can't handle it? Pan Lin swallowed his anger and lowered his posture, without your support, we are just barbarians. Alas, General Pan is not aware of this year's poor harvest of autumn food. With so many mouths under his hand, my life is not easy either. This statement is very clear. You have to pay on one hand and deliver on the other. If you don't have money, there is no need to negotiate. I'm chattering, Pan Lin said with a suppressed temper. Hey, General knows that valuable intelligence is worth thousands of dollars. Jiao didn't want to let the fat sheep go like this. Seeing Jiao's family members besieging him, Pan Lin's face turned extremely ugly and he threw down a golden cake before being released. Outside Taimou County. Roar. Jiao Lao go. One day I'll peel your skin. Pan Lin was furious and powerless. Marshal, I'm going to take someone to the city to kill you. His subordinates were very obscene and courteous. Pop. Pan Lin slapped the person and rotated them 360 degrees. Gather manpower and go to Shan County to harvest autumn grain. Whenever someone under his command has a brain, Pan Lin doesn't mind Jiao and Jin Mao. November has passed, and December has arrived. After all, it will still rain, and this rain will last for most of the month. The winter rain in Wushan County is fine and translucent. Even if you go out in a raincoat and don't drink ginger soup to dispel the cold, it is easy to catch wind and cold. These days, Jin Mao has been busier than before. Placing over 1,000 people and placing 100 people are completely different concepts. There were not many places to build houses, so Jin Mao ordered craftsmen to stop the factory construction first and built a large number of sheltered large buildings for Fujian and Vietnam. A large grass shed similar to a seedling base, but built along the mountain. The wisdom of the people is infinite. The craftsmen only built a framework, and the rest of the construction of thatched sheds and digging ditches were all done by the Baiyue people themselves. Originally, the shelter could only provide simple rain protection, but later it was able to provide half protection on rainy days and even on windy days. With a place to settle down, the people of Fujian and Vietnam became more obedient. All the young and strong enlisted, and all the old and weak went to work as long as they could move. Even the half-aged children were not idle. A thriving area. The gathering place of Baiyue is on the south-facing sunny side, while the local people of Jinyan Mountain are on the north-facing sunny side. Unlike the obedience of Fujian and Vietnam, locals are more difficult to manage. Convincing the people to plant rapeseed on the fields, Jin Mao and Wu Tian quickly sharpened their tongues. The gentry are actually very obedient, because they don't care about the rent of borrowing seeds. The common people are petty and worry about various issues. There is not much land consolidation in Jinyan Mountain, and the gentry only owns 1/3 of the land. Difficulty in advancing the seeding process. In the end, Jin Mao had no choice but to rent out all the land and invite the people to cultivate it. There are two payment methods. One is a fixed payment of 35 baht per mu after harvest, a method of feeding oil according to harvest, which is 1/10 of the oil production. Rare things are precious. Currently, vegetable oil is scarce and the price is high. 2 pounds can be exchanged for 1 stone of corn, which is 35 baht coins. The average yield of rapeseed per mu is 100 kilograms, and even with a 20% oil yield, 2 kilograms can be obtained, let alone a wood press that can achieve a 30% oil yield. So, the people choose fixed salaries, and the gentry all choose oil. Moreover, the gentry are smarter, indicating that they can allocate manpower and resources in order to obtain a higher proportion of profits. Jin Mao should have everything. So, the earliest and simplest joint stock system emerged in the Eastern Han Dynasty. Jin Mao provides seedlings and technical support, obtaining 60% oil and all residues. The gentry provides human, material, and financial resources, obtaining 40% of the oil output, and only participates in dividends without participating in decision-making. Both sides were overjoyed. At this moment, I experienced the joy of capitalists. Jin Mao has decided that this model will continue to be implemented and no one can change it. The rapeseed is ready, and Jin Mao is once again focusing on rice. Jinyan Mountain has the earliest rice, with a very small quantity, only distributed on both sides of the bad water, and the situation in Wushan County is similar. Due to one of the three factors that determine productivity, outdated means of production make it difficult for paddy fields to exist without water sources. And Jin Mao knows that the rainfall in Wushan County is sufficient to form a certain scale of terraced fields. This is another big project. Jin Mao decided to start with rice seeds. With the experience of later Grandpa Yuan, he believed that doubling the yield of 300 kilograms per mu would not be a problem, and it is uncertain whether it will be doubled. Agriculture is on the right track, and the military is stuck. Rain is one aspect, but philosophy is another. According to Jin Mao's plan, it is necessary to establish a professional army. He never expected those famous generals to bow down, so he could only take the path of strengthening his army. Only professional soldiers who have been trained year-round can be considered strong soldiers. There's no problem with the Baiyue soldiers here. Jin Mao is almost becoming their faith. The county army is showing polarization, with only a few county soldiers who follow Jin Mao at the earliest and are willing to take the path of professionalization. Most people believe that working in a county army without a name or surname means having no future prospects. This actually reminds Jin Mao. He is just a miser, unable to even determine his rank as a sergeant. By this calculation, this group of county soldiers did not go on strike, which already gave Jin Mao a lot of face. Speaking of this, we have to mention the golden sheep. In fact, the county soldiers are so well behaved, and they have half of the credit from the golden sheep. Who would make the golden sheep boast? He has already blown Jin Mao into the only existence in heaven and the pinnacle on earth, waiting to soar to the sky. In the evening, Jin Mao rode his old horse thinking about his worries and returned to his residence all the way. Zhaoshuyuan.com, my husband has returned, the rice is ready, and I am heating it in the pot. After keeping up with the nutrition, Shuyu's face looked visibly better to the naked eye, and with the bulging front and back pieces of meat, he could always attract the younger brother Jin Mao. Husband, let's eat first. After dinner. Sage time, Jin Mao stared at the oil lamp in a trance. Shuyu finished tidying up and knelt not far away, with his small eyes fixed on the lights, gritting his teeth. Husband, my mother said she wants to advance the payment for farming. Jin Mao's eyebrows furrowed instantly. It was not a matter of money, but rather a bad start that made things difficult to handle. It's impossible for the two of them to live together for so long without any emotional connection. If it's too heavy, he can't say it. In times of difficulty, he is more eager to know the other party's actual thoughts. Do you think I should give it? Seeing Jin Mao frown and ask such a question, Shuryu suddenly felt uneasy, but didn't know where the problem was, so she burst into tears. Don't cry yet. Jin Mao likes to be straightforward and has never been in a serious relationship before, still explaining it seriously. The matter of prepaying wages is of great significance. Wu. Shuryu suddenly knelt down and interrupted his spell casting, begging for mercy while kowtowing. Don't drive me away, I won't say anything again. Hey. Alright, don't knock yet. This girl is also genuine and sincere, with blood on her forehead. Jin Mao hurriedly bandaged her. Shuryu was afraid of being abandoned and took the initiative for the first time. Actually, Shuryu is also a pitiful person. Her father passed away early, and her mother raised her 3 children alone. She became a shrew even if she was not a shrew. So, encountering a good man like Jin Mao who doesn't exist in this era, even if he dies, he won't leave.